is like a hurricane here in Duckburg. Race cars, lasers, aeroplanes. It's a duck blur. Might solve a mystery or rewrite history.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Mighty Mornings. This is a beautiful show today. It is one of my favorite shows, I think. I'm so excited to talk about today's episode. As if you didn't know, if you didn't know when we played the song what it is all about, I'm sorry, you need to just turn off this and just go away. Because that is probably one of the greatest intro songs to any animation in the world. I'm going to bring in my buddy, Chris, and he better agree with me on this.
Might solve a mystery.
I didn't even care if we got a copyright. I didn't even care if we got copyright. I let it play. I'm like, screw it, let it play.
It's such an iconic song, and I don't know if you've seen me while I was waiting to be come in. I'm like dancing to it. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, it is one of my favorite intros of all time. I want to talk about how it all began as well. I've got a nice story from Vanity Fair about this the composer.
Whoa.
So we'll get into it's a nice little story. I'll shorten it up, summarize it, but yeah, DuckTales, not the DuckTales that just came out remake. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the original DuckTales that came out in 1987, Chris. 1987, Chris.
I was
you just stop lying right now.
I was 4 years old.
I was 7. Oh my god. Oh my god. Right up my wheelhouse. But this isn't a morning show. This was an afternoon show. And we'll talk about it, but it still encompasses that whole nostalgic of these old shows that just gripped us and took us for an adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it be 23 minutes or an hour or whatever it was. Man, the journeys that we went on these shows.
And you know what? This DuckTales was the start that led into the future cartoons within like the early 90s to have adventures like Tailspin. But yeah, it's just like every episode you don't know what kind of adventure you were going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cameos were great in the show. Spin-offs were great in the show. It was magical. It was a magical show. Before we get into this show and get into all the depths about it, first of all, we want to thank everybody for tuning in or listening, watching us on the replay. Thank you so much. We appreciate each and every one of you guys. Mighty Mornings is on every 2 weeks. We pick a show from the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, and we kind of dive into it and talk about it and kind of geek out, get that nostalgia love brewing, should I say. And so today's episode is about DuckTales. But before we get into it, Chris, last time around, had a little bit of a technical difficulties and wasn't able to get his final thoughts on the show Gem. By the way, I want to apologize. I accidentally said Gem and the Holocaust instead of the hologram.
And
somebody corrected.
I'm like, you touching on
that was a total accident. And yeah, so I apologize. I meant to say hologram. But Chris,
yes,
you can kind of finish it off and kind of not finish it off, but give your take on our very first talk about Gem. I'm sure we'll go back down the road and pick a episode or something, kind of dive into that episode. But yeah, go ahead.
When I got kicked out by technology 2 weeks
ago. Not
me,
technology. Let's get
technology. It's not always reliable. I was going to be getting into the conversation about the spinoff that we had, which was the movie. And, so many Gem fans were looking forward to it, and they completely ruined the movie. They tried playing it off of social media, how, like Justin Bieber got started on YouTube. And I'm like, we don't need a movie like that. We already have Justin Bieber, that movie that they made. And then they gave us Gem and the holograms that had nothing to do with a hologram, and it had some good uh, rewrites to it. Instead of Eric, we had Erica, and it was just a huge disappointment. It,
Oftentimes it is.
ugh. Well, and not only that, like they only touched on the characters. They didn't like utilize the holograms. They had this little robot, you know, the prep the foundation was there. They just didn't follow it. It's like, "Oh, let's build something else." And it's just no, you ruined it. So, it's unfortunate that all the Gem fans probably won't get another movie
No.
unless someone, because it could be such an awesome dynamic movie. Like, could you imagine she does the transformation and a hologram surrounds her? It would be amazing. But, again, it's like X3. They ruined a really good storyline,
Yep.
and we wouldn't see it for another, 10, 12 years, and still they ruin it.
You think after a decade, they would figure things out and just say, you know what, it didn't work last time around. Maybe we should go back to the comics and stay there.
Yeah.
Nope.
But in general, the cartoon was entertaining. We'll get more in depth about what they would do episode to episode, because it was highly illegal. People would have been going to jail.
Would you be okay with a TV show?
You know what? If they brought it back and it wasn't too toony looking as what we've been getting recently, I think it would be pretty good. They could, again, they have a really good foundation that they can build off of, and just, reintroduce new storylines, new characters. So, yeah, I would like to see one.
Animation or live?
As much as I'd love a live, they would ruin it. You have a little more capability when it comes to animation, so I'd say animation at the moment.
You have more flexibility, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
fair enough.
definitely.
All right. Do you want to anything else you want to add to it before we kind of put it to rest for a while until we come back to it later?
No, when we touch base on a couple of the episodes in our future episodes, there's some pretty intense subject matter. So, well, stay tuned and check us back for those episodes.
All right, then. All right, let's get into our main topic. It is DuckTales, if you haven't noticed, for the
Oh,
intro.
really? I thought it was. I thought it was Barbie. What? I'm out.
Stop it. Yeah, I wanted to open it here, so we get a DuckTales.
I think we should play that opening one more time.
Yeah, and get banned for good this time. Right?
It's almost worth it.
No, it's not worth it. But anyways, here's DuckTales. I wanted to talk about. Did you, when it first came out? So it came out in 1987. Let's let everybody. Oh, what's up, ANR Cruise? Dragon Eye says hello. You're never late, my friend. You're never late. You're never late.
Fashionably late.
If you watch it, you're never late. So,
ooh.
So DuckTales in 1987 debuted. Disney had asked their teams to make an adventurous TV show that they could put in the afternoon to bring when the kids come from school, they want to watch something. They wanted to have those viewerships before they do their homework or have dinner. So they wanted to do something like a 4 p.m. segment, right? And they went to their team and said, let's get something going. And they came up with DuckTales, which, Disney has Donald Duck, the most popular duck in the planet. Yeah. I mean, is there any other bigger duck? Can you think of any other ones?
Howard the Duck?
No, not as big as Donald. Howard is big, but not as that level. This is global. Donald Duck is right there behind Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
in the most recognizable Disney characters of all time. Right? People from
Yeah.
people who are 80 years old could tell you who Donald Duck is. Right?
Well, you just did.
Oh, let me bring this banner out for you because you just deserved it right there. You are now enshrined as one of the worst dad jokes of all time.
Actually, that's
Clip
probably
this, people.
one.
Let's clip this so we can put it on our
This is
shorts.
probably the best dad joke in all of your dad jokes.
Oh, I beg to differ, my friend.
Oh, I don't. You know
Last
what?
week's was a banger. Last Monday's dad joke was a banger.
You know what? I'm gonna talk to our editors and see if they can get a reel of all your dad jokes together and
One
just
after another, just bangers
yeah.
after bangers. Good times after good times. All
Oh my
right.
god.
So this show had 100 episodes. It's weird how it rounded off at 100 because we never get to see that usually. It's usually like
Yeah.
60 or 120 or
Well,
150, but it's not like 100 is like right there, milestone, right?
well, it's so funny because like I'll be honest with you, I didn't start watching this show probably until the 90s.
So like
Or the
1991 or
late
something like that.
well, I know the final date episode was in the 90s, but I think I got to it at a later time because it was
Mhm.
on rerun. So it still caught my attention. So unfortunately, I didn't get to watch the episodes from the beginning, but I know that because they put it on syndication, it was definitely one of those cartoons that I'd go and watch, probably because of the opening.
Yeah. I think I tuned in 1989. I tuned in
Yeah,
2 years. I was 9 years old. I think that's around the time that I tuned into this show. Remember, we're in Canada, so I think our shows were delayed as well in release dates. We didn't
right.
get them till probably a year later or 6 months later. From what I remember as a 9-year-old kid, I thought I was in the thick of it all. I thought like I was
Yeah.
near the starting point. When I saw that it was released in 1987, I'm like, that's kind of odd because I didn't remember in 87 the show. I remember like 89, 1990, right? I was 10 years old around that area.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, I mean, 100 episodes, 3 seasons strong. Well, they say 3 seasons, but 100 episodes is could. Back then, there really weren't seasons; they were just episodes. They all
Ye-
kind of meshed together for us. Right?
Well, as a kid, it's like nothing matters. It's
Yeah.
just we're here to watch the episodes. But I think, when they start releasing things like I'm sure this is on Disney Plus, obviously.
Oh, it better
Um,
be.
they
It'll be
would
alright.
separate it so
Yeah.
for fans going back to it, they'll be like, okay, this is season 1, season 2, and season 3. But yeah, as a
I mean,
kid,
I
we
mean, the
just
Disney Plus logo is right here, so it better be.
sponsorship Disney, we love you.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, it was to me when I heard the song, it was like a breath of fresh air because we have so many shows that are very cartoony driven songs, but this was like somebody singing adventure, somebody singing happy times here.
Yeah.
Like it was so catchy. Like you just kind of like wow, just admire how amazing it was, and you know that wasn't by accident. Disney reached out to multiple composers. They wanted a song. They were very specific on it.
Hmm.
I'll read a little bit of an article from Vanity Fair here. Uh, they were just talking to the composer about his how he became the song, how he wrote the song, and how he became it. So, in the spring of 1986, in the bedroom of a walk-up apartment on South Beverly Drive, LA, a semi-struggling songwriter named Mark Mueller pressed the record on his rudimentary reel-to-reel tape recorder, sat down at his Roland Juno 1 synthesizer, and started thinking about ducks. Disney, yeah, ducks.
That's good.
Disney was looking for a theme song for an animated series called DuckTales. They wanted a sense of adventure and excitement, a time that would complement the technicolor energy of the show itself. Most importantly, Disney's music executive explained they were after a poppy radio song, not a cartoon song. So that's interesting. Like they wanted to go out different, and it could have been a disaster, right?
Yeah.
It could have been a massive disaster, and they would have failed, and you never would have seen Ducktales. Even if the show was good, if the song was horrible, people would have tuned out probably, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, they were just really ambitious about it, and I want to thank them for being ambitious about it because that was a time where I thought that artists, composers, executives are all on the same page in making sure we get amazing products, we get great fun things, and it's not just about money,
Yeah.
right?
And I really strongly believe that the 80s and early 90s were like the height of when we had such amazing openings. It wasn't just a song that was written, and there was thought process behind it because I remember as a kid, I'd be getting ready to watch one of my favorite cartoons and I'd go and grab like juice. And then as soon as I heard the song on the TV, no surround sound speakers, it was terrible. uh, we would run back to like get in front of the TV because the opening was like trailers of a movie. You can't miss it. It was
I
part of the cartoons.
I also think that this intro opened the door for other amazing intros. Rescue Rangers,
Hmm.
Darkwing Duck,
I love Darkwing Duck.
Tailspin, right? It
Yeah.
opened up a door for a lot of other shows to have this catchy, singing, adventurous type of intro, right?
Hmm.
So, because before we had Transformers, we had G.I. Joe, but they were like very cartoon focused song, right? Get the intro done with quickly and let's get on with the show. This is more like, hey, come here and listen to this song first, get hyped, and then we're gonna bring you the show. And
Yeah.
we'll make this play for over a minute. We'll make the
Yeah.
song over a minute so you can enjoy the song in its full and then come and watch the show. So it's like a prequel to the show, right? And
Yeah.
one thing I liked about what they did with DuckTales, I don't know if you noticed it, but they would add the shows as like a little clip from the show into their song.
Oh,
And
what?
yeah, did you not notice that?
No.
Throughout the seasons, what they would do is once in a while they would take a song, I mean a clip from the episode that you're about to watch and put it into the intro.
Oh, wow.
And
That's
yeah, they did
pretty
that several
smart.
times. They did that several times. So you would get a sneak peek of what's gonna happen.
Oh,
Yeah.
see, leave it to Disney for adding little Easter eggs in there. And obviously, they've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
That's great. It's, you know what? Every intro, all I can think of is like really bad 90s intros where, it'd be going on and it'd be like,
One of the things I wanted to talk about also is the show executives. They introduced, so the very first episode is Donald Duck. Okay, this is how brilliant these guys are. They bring Donald Duck in the first episode, and everyone's losing their minds probably as a kid. Donald Duck's on a show now.
I
On
don't
a
even remember that.
You don't remember the first episode?
Dude, that was probably like 35 years
Shame
ago.
on you. No, I'm just kidding. I watched it last night. But the executives wanted to use Donald Duck as a launching pad for it. Get a launching pad.
Oh,
We'll get into him in a second. One of my favorites. So they brought him in, and it was so funny because they have Scrooge McDuck, which is obviously the number one character in the show. It's
yeah.
everything surrounds around him, right, and his money. So Scrooge McDuck is introduced for the first time with the Irish accent. Is it Irish or Scottish?
I to be on the safe side, I'll
It's
say
Scottish.
Irish.
He has a kilt.
Is it Scottish?
Yeah, it's kilt. Yeah. It's
Okay.
So Scottish accent, and you see him introduced for the first time. Everyone's like, "Oh, okay, who's this guy?" Right? And then he goes and meets Donald Duck at the pier, where Donald's about to ship off. I don't know where he's going, but he's being shipped off. I guess he works for the Marines or something. I don't know.
They're
He's one of
shipping
the
him off to Disneyland in another country to, open that up.
Steve Dragon says he remembers that. Good memory. But Donald basically goes to Scrooge, goes, I need you to look after my 3 nephews as I'm gone. Right? And I was just wondering, like, you have 3 nephews? Shouldn't you have at least a kid? Like, what are you and Daisy doing? Right?
I'm like, why is it
Oh yeah,
his
the Navy.
nephews?
The Navy. It was so odd that he has 3 nephews. Whose
Why wouldn't it
nephews
be-
are these?
Well, you know what? I think that was Disney's way of saying it's actually his kids, but they couldn't say Donald Duck had kids because that would probably go against Disney's. They didn't want to promote it, so they probably
keep the innocence.
Yeah, so that's what they did to keep the innocence, but it was his kids, but they had to say nephews.
Huey, Dewey, and Louie, which I found hilarious when I heard that. Right? I was just laughing as a kid. I remember that. I'm like, Huey, Dewey, and Louie. Wow, they really thought that through.
Well, you can't forget it. It rhymes.
Oh yeah, I know. It was just funny.
Snap,
Yeah.
crackle, pop. Hello,
Oh,
Krispies.
hey.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that. But yeah, and he's like, I gotta go, and Scrooge is like, what? And then the kids are like, okay, well, we got all these bags. Should we get a cab or a taxi? And Scrooge, being so cheap, he's like, no, it's only a brisk 3-kilometer walk or 3-mile walk. We'll be fine. But
okay.
yeah, I thought, and they were very strategic about it. They said that they didn't want Donald to be in the show because it would take away from expanding these characters. Because if you had Donald in there, nobody would care about Scrooge.
And
right?
I believe that's their way of, bringing more notice and popularity to Scrooge.
Because... also on expanding a whole new universe.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and so I thought that was very interesting. They're like, no, we don't want. And the other thing they said that they didn't want to damage, which I found interesting, Donald's reputation. They wanted to keep Donald in a certain place because of who he is to kids. They didn't want him meddling in the show where they go on adventures, they go and break into, banks, and Donald, like all these characters have to run away and stuff. They wanted to keep him separate, which I thought at the beginning, I thought when I watched it as a kid and I see Donald there and then I see Donald leave, I'm like, oh man, why is he leaving? Right? Like I like the way he talks, right? I want him in there. But they made that decision, and I think looking back on it, of course it's a great decision because now I'm not focused on him. I'm more focused on the kids and all the other characters that came out, and boy did they ever come out with characters. There is a lot of characters from this show. Launchpad McQuack. Is he the greatest bumbling buffoon on animation? I mean, it's out there. He's a contender. And a lot of people fell in love with him because, like you said, there's not a crash that he can't walk out from. There's something like that. That was his line, right? Not a crash that I cannot walk out of. But Launchpad was great. I loved. I can't remember the little girl's name. What was the little girl's name?
That is
Dragon. If you remember it, let me know, or if you can, search it.
I think it is
Abigail. No. DuckTales.
Webagill.
Webagill. That's it. I was close.
What?
I said
I know
Abigail.
It's supposed to be Abigail, but like Webagill.
Yeah,
I'm like, that's like
because the web feeds. The web feeds.
Yes, I know, but I'm just like, really.
Webagill. If you're tuning in, you don't know what we're talking about. We're talking about DuckTales. So
Woo.
you can do that all day.
Every time you say DuckTales,
I'm gonna go play this. I'm gonna play the show in front of my kids for like, my oldest, my youngest son, sorry, said to me, he's like, I watched DuckTales. It was all right. I'm like,
And then you
okay.
put them out.
No. God. No, he goes, it was, I'm like, because I told him, I go, that's a pretty old show. I go, really? You watched it really old? He's like, no. It just came in a couple of years ago. I'm like, oh, you watched the reboot.
Oh, that's why.
I'm like, no. Don't watch the reboot. I go, watch the original. Right?
You know what? I would even be happy if they took old cartoons, kept the storylines the same, brought them out and modernize and
Oh,
update the animation. I would be so happy with that.
I would lose my mind.
You know what? I'm surprised they haven't tried capitalizing on it because, for the fans of it then are still fans now, you would make them happy because they know what they're getting. They're not effing around with the storyline. It's retro. Everyone loves retro who are
You know what
and
I'm
is
hoping?
our age. Yeah, what?
You know what I'm hoping is the new X-Men animated show that's coming out. I'm hoping it has a resounding success where they're gonna go, oh, you like this now, huh? Okay, we're gonna give you GI Joe, Transformers, DuckTales, blah 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 blah. We're gonna do all of them
Yeah.
because a lot of you who were kids are now in your 30s and 40s are watching this, and cool. We'll continue doing more stuff like this, bringing back some of the old.
Yeah.
So if once the X-Men show comes out, people go watch it because those numbers are going to indicate to Disney they should pump out more of these classics and upgrade them.
Let's just hope X-Men doesn't keep the same animation. That was effing terrible. Oh,
Dragon Eye says that the reboot was actually pretty good. They tied all the things into Duckburg universe. Gizmo Duck, Darkwing Duck, everything we didn't get continuity about on back as a kid. I didn't like the animation. It looked very dark. They're trying to make it look like a really dark show when it should be bright and beautiful colors, right?
yeah.
I want sunshine. I want red, blue, green, orange. I want the brightness of the show. And when I watched the reboot, it was very bland and very downed. A lot of black in there, and it just felt like they're trying to make it more of a darker, mysterious show.
We got Scooby-Doo for that.
Exactly. Tying in all those characters in the universe, I don't know about that. Like, why would you want to tie them in? Like,
Well, isn't that what this DuckTales was for, to introduce like a multiverse? They've been doing it before Marvel did it. So
like I don't mind them coming in as cameos and going off onto their own thing. But I mean, I guess Gizmo Duck and Darkwing Duck showing up is not bad. He says, Dragon says, "Oh yeah, the animation wasn't great at all in my book. It looked like 4-year-olds drawing it with the limited color palette." Yeah, I mean, I don't mind it. I guess Gizmo and Darkwing coming into that universe once in a while, but all the time in the show would change the dynamic because what is the point of Huey, Dewey, and Louie then?
Oh, so they would introduce them way too much
Well,
and
they
take
were part
away.
of it. They were part of it.
Oh, and see, for me, I would look at that as, taking away character building for the
Yeah.
three main characters.
Mhm.
Okay, so you saying that, I'm like, yeah, that's kind of what's the
Cameos are
point?
fine. Come in once
Yeah,
in a while, do your thing, right? I wouldn't have no issues with that because it doesn't take away from what Scrooge does, what the kids do, what Launchpad does, right? It doesn't take away from those guys because they need to screw up and they need to fix their own screw ups
yeah.
for it to be that of good of a show. And that's what DuckTales' original show did. They would screw up and then they would fix it, right?
I would like
Which is a
to.
premise to
Sorry,
every show.
I would like kids nowadays to try and watch a show and they'd be like, doesn't it fix itself? Like, they're so lazy.
Wait,
They're like,
who's gonna help them fix it?
yeah.
Where are their parents?
Oh, here's an iPad. It's fixed.
Yeah. Can't they just call an Uber?
Oh my God. Let's DoorDash that
Yeah.
shit.
They're
Oh,
hungry?
sorry.
Well, hello, DoorDash. Uber Eats.
Why would I have
Jeez.
to do anything myself? I have
Yeah.
someone to do it for me.
these people are stupid.
Could you imagine though the cartoons we get nowadays if that's the mindset? They're like,
It'd be horrible.
oh no, I can't do this. Let's call someone, and someone else comes in and fixes it for them. It's like, I feel
Um,
so old when I say this generation is screwed. Um,
so let's talk about some of the bad guys they had. They had the Bugle brothers, right? The three of them, and Ma
oh my god.
and Ma. Remember?
Yes.
I used to love the the filer inside the cake.
Okay. You know what? I need to go back and, because I didn't watch this show as religious as you might have, you're bringing up things, so I might have to go back and watch
Oh,
some
you
of the
have to
episodes.
go back. Yeah. The Bugle Boys. I'll put them up here. The whole fam.
They sound familiar.
The whole fam. Open up in a tab here.
Do you remember the nanny?
Oh man, I can't remember the nanny.
She was like the mother figure. So it was nice that they added that in there. So it wasn't just like a male figure. It came across that they didn't want to have a male dominated. Oh, yes. I remember.
Remember these guys?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so they would have these guys. You said it started with 3. It started with 3 of them, and then they added more of these guys in there. It'd be the guys on the far left, and except for the dopey, this guy right here. These 3 would be your on the left would be your main guys, and then Ma would always try to bake him a cake with like explosives or machines. They would have like the cement drilling machine inside it. Anything to get out of that.
Here's a little myth. It's a woman, right? Single.
Yeah.
Count how many characters are around him.
Yeah.
Her.
She got busy.
No. Snow White and the 7 Dwarves.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Because they would always not win. So,
wow.
Snow White went.
I'm gonna have to like just wow. My mind is blown. I never thought of that. This is Snow White in retirement.
Hard times hit Snow White pretty bad.
I guess
she
so.
Never
right?
found her prince.
All her kids have been very successful at robbing things. Yeah, mind blown. Ma Beagle. Yeah, that's right. Ma Beagle. The Beagle Boys. I used to love the song too. By the way, the song in the show was great too. There were different songs that would show you about escalation of the bad guys. Like when the Beagle Boys would show up, they would change the song from a happy go relaxing song to like like really aggressively, excited song.
Yeah.
And you were like right away like, oh, something's happening.
Well,
so
it's almost like sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So even throughout the show, the music was great to get you excited.
Yeah. It's like cinematic what they would do in a movie to change the mood. They brought it to cartoon form, which they did very well, apparently.
Yeah, I just thought it was great. It's just so much fun to see these guys. It's just got to chuckle at how many things they could squeeze in a cake.
And I'm like, wouldn't those bombs explode as soon as they go in the oven?
Listen, don't ruin good things here, okay? Stop. Don't ruin good things here. They're allowed to have many ways to get out of the prison.
Come on, Snow White, get it together. You're that old and you don't know how to bake.
Oh man, it was good times. I also love the premise. They all wanted to steal Scrooge's money.
Yeah.
And nobody else in town was rich, only him. And then I love the fact that he was swimming money. That's the first time when I actually thought that you could actually do that.
Yeah, no, you jumped in.
I tried so hard to swim in money, and I couldn't do it as a kid. My parents would have these big jars of pennies and dimes and quarters,
Oh, Jesus.
and I would dump them all on the floor and try to swim in it. And I realized metal is a lot tougher than it looks.
The way he dives into his coins, I'm like, he would crack his neck and we'd be having duck for dinner.
Peking duck, anyone?
Yeah.
Yeah, he would just effortlessly swim through it, right? Just doing laps and stuff, spitting it out like it's just water.
Ew. Although, see,
Oh.
COVID, seriously.
Please talk about the physics of jumping through metal.
Hey,
I was a kid. I didn't know physics. I knew
maybe
physical ed.
maybe Scrooge was a mutant and he had the same powers as Shadow Cat.
Maybe he was Colossus. Oh my god, it was so funny that he would do it. And then, of course, if all in the sea of money that he had, there was a little podium, and the
Mhm.
podium was a glass casing of a dime, and he would talk about this throughout the whole series, that it was his first dime he made. Right?
Okay, yes.
It was a shiny dime, and it was the fortune and the good luck. It was everything to him. And enemies would just try to steal the dime, and I'm like, why? Who cares about the dime?
Well, because that dime would bring anyone who has it good luck.
I guess, right? I mean, they didn't really say it's magical, but to him it was very magical.
But they could have,
See,
yes.
somebody just got it. Boom.
They
Oh,
could have played off that as a good storyline. Like they could have done, oh my god, a new what if episode. What if someone stole his dime? What if he didn't have that dime?
he would probably go psychotic and start killing it. The Beagle Boys would be all dead.
Oh, wouldn't that be an amazing dark adult
He would
episode?
John Wick all of these guys.
Oh my god.
Right?
I could only imagine that.
He puts on a suit, right, and just John Wicks everybody.
I'd like you to meet my daughters. Boom, 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 boom.
Oh man, Huey Dewey would just throw knives, sharp knives from the car. Launchpad would just come in with this, fighter plane, just to drop bombs in cities and stuff. Oh, that'd be good. That'd be awesome.
You're going really far with that.
Yeah, I think I am. Yeah, I also like the fact that some of these characters that we just touched on, like Gizmo Duck, when they talked about the Gizmo Duck series, I remember it was like a big event. It was like like a 4-part series, I believe it was, and it was a nighttime when they introduced Gizmo Duck, and they did it in, nobody knew who Gizmo Duck was in the universe. Like the kids didn't know who he was. We knew as viewers who he was, but it was such a big moment to see a superhero type of character show up and handle business, right?
Yeah.
It was so cool. I really, to this day, loved the Gizmo Duck storyline.
It was like RoboCop meets ducks.
And did you ever see on YouTube somebody actually built a working Gizmo Duck?
No. What?
You never seen that?
No.
There's somebody who dresses up as Gizmo Duck and looks the part. Okay? Looks the part and is going down the street in full speed.
Well, I guess if you're a pro at a unicycle,
Yeah? Why
it
not,
would
right?
work.
I'm gonna pull it up. Who was your favorite character if you had to pick one?
Honestly, obviously we loved Huey, Dewey, and Louie. Again, I don't remember all the episodes. I do remember watching it here and there. It was hard for me to have a favorite character out of there. When you're just watching the episodes for the adventure and being a kid, maybe not establishing, oh, I like this person better than any of the others. They wrote them so well that you end up loving them all. And like Scrooge McDuck, you might have hated him, but you ended up maybe falling in love with him from this cartoon. So, uh, why did you have a favorite character?
Um, my favorite character would have to be Launchpad.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, Launchpad was my favorite. But when they introduced Gizmo Duck, everything else just like, see you later. So here's the live action Gizmo Duck. If you want to see it, so somebody actually made this.
Wow.
It looks fantastic. They even have the bullet holes.
I don't. The one. Oh, see, he's got. Yeah. Oh, that look. Whoa, that's so cool. He could have changed. Okay, here's my judge. Change the pants. They're too baggy. Make them
Okay,
orange.
I think for safety reasons he had to put it on because if he was
But
to
that's
fall
pretty
off,
cool.
how's he not getting arrested? Because he's
Well, I think.
Gizmo Duck.
Yeah. Have you tried arresting a duck before? Didn't think so.
Ah, look at that.
That's pretty sweet.
But yeah, I mean, it this came out in what? I think it came out a few 10 years ago or something like that. But the the people behind the fans behind it still rampant. I mean, of all the shows in that era that Disney did, they did a reboot of this because it was probably the biggest, right? They did a
Hmm.
Chip and Dale movie. Would you like to see a live action DuckTales?
Uh, that's a tough question. As much as I would like to say yes, I'd be worried that, well, it is Disney, but I guess growing up with when we got this is a um
They would have robbed this dude if he was in New York. Good morning, AI.
as long as the characters weren't just animated. If it's a live action, I want like practical um movie magic in there like we got with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It was amazing what they could do. Even Howard the Duck was pretty decent for its
Mhm.
time. But if it ended up being like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles where they were all just CG'd, I'm like, no thanks.
Yeah. What do you think about the decision of them having the show in the afternoon instead of the mornings?
You know what? I get it because, they already knew they had us for Saturday mornings, you know. Um, they couldn't really get us during weekdays in the morning because we had to go to school. So what's the best time to get a hold of kids? After school. So just like you said, and it's funny because when you really think about it, TV in the past has delegated what our uh, life schedules were going to be. It's go to school, get home, watch cartoons. Saturday
Yeah.
morning, wake up, eat breakfast, watch cartoons, and then go out during the day doing whatever. It as repetitive as that sounds, it was such a fun childhood to, have that. And, you know, the cartoons we've had in the past, it was adventures or learning lessons. And I wouldn't trade that for anything. I definitely wouldn't trade it for what is out nowadays because it's all just crap.
Oh yeah.
In my own opinion,
Yes, of
I'll say
course.
that. Yeah.
No, I'm 100% with you on this. Like, what we got, and this is why we're doing this show, is because it's so, you know, it's so amazing and magical that we got those opportunities, and it was like hit after hit after hit after hit, and it
Hmm.
didn't let down for years, right?
Yeah.
Even when I was kind of walking away from it, when I became a teenager, because when you become a teenager, you're doing other things, right? You're occupied in trying to be cool, right, in front of everybody because you're in
Yeah.
high school stuff. Even when you're walking away from it, you're just like, wow, they're still bringing cool stuff in. Like I kind of walked away when the Pokemons and the Digimon stuff started showing up, right? It
Mhm.
wasn't for me, but the next generation still had it good, right? They had it good for a
Yeah.
few more years before it kind of really went down south. But yeah, I mean, it spanned a long time. Um, the magic is not there anymore, honestly.
No, and as much as a lot of people say watching TV and cartoons as kids is bad, obviously excessive. Yeah, it can be bad,
Everything
but
is bad excessive,
I
right?
know, even eating vegetables. Guess what? You're eating healthy, you're still gonna die. Sorry, that was a bit dark, but it's true.
He
But
didn't mean it, folks.
no,
We kids, you live forever, okay?
yes. Oh yeah. Okay. Anyways, uh, I think having cartoons was great, and having them as kids is the best because it sparks imagination,
Hmm.
and as you can picture what we had back in the day, uh, the imagination was epic. We were getting everything new and everything was fresh. And now that cartoons have kind of slowly died out in the sense of like children's cartoons, it feels like we've lost that imagination and no one has it anymore. And all we're getting in the movie industry is reboots. Like no one can come up with anything new. So I really strongly believe that what we had as kids was important for keeping us on our toes and making us think different ways of what shows are nowadays. It's so much darkness in the world that I wish we could bring all these shows back and
We are, and
reintroduce.
that is our task. I think this is why I wanted to do this with you, and I wanted to do it for everybody out there. Is even though we've lost those eras, it's we wanted to do the show to bring back some of that feel, right?
Yeah.
Which is the main reason we're doing all this is we wanted to bring it, and it was important to us to do it on a Saturday morning, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's not easy sometimes getting up as an adult on a Saturday morning, especially if you have a long Friday night. But
At
those are
our
the
age, we don't have long Friday nights, remember?
I don't know about you,
We're
but
in
I'm still
bed
I'm
by
still
8:30. Yeah.
but it's a sacrifice I was willing to make because I was like, no, this is something that I want to do in the morning on Saturdays.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad I made that decision, and I'm so glad you decided to jump on board with me doing this because, yeah, it's those eras are long gone, but if we can bring
Not
some of
up
those,
here.
not up the, yeah, exactly, not up there,
Yeah.
but if we can bring some of that love back, that like for example, right now, earlier we had Dragon I say, just like, oh, the dime, I remember that, or the Ma Beagle, like those are memories that were kind of locked away, but when we talk about it, it kind of comes back to surface, and you remember all the good times as well while you watch that
Yeah.
show, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean that's the reason why me and you are doing this, and I'm hoping that other YouTubers out there do stuff like this as well. I mean, the more the merrier for everybody. I think it's just great, and then also it educates some of the generations that are behind us, like what this was about. Because I know my youngest son, he's very curious in some of the stuff that we talk about, and he'll watch our show and check it out, and he'll ask me questions about it afterwards. Saturday morning show that we're doing right now here is very, very interesting to him because he didn't have that, right?
Yeah.
So he's asked me questions. I'm sure he's going to ask me questions about DuckTales and stuff, and we'll probably tune in and watch a couple episodes as well, right? Uh,
Hmm.
and that's excitement for me. I love that. I love the
Yeah.
fact that they ask me questions and I get to watch a few shows with them. And it's only a few shows because they have a very low attention span. He'll watch a couple of shows and he's like, "Okay, I'm out. I'm good." Right? And
Yeah.
I'll just sit there with a little tear. Oh my god, my son watched the show with me. But yeah, Ducktales, amazing show. I'm definitely gonna circle back and talk about specific episodes in this, maybe the Gizmo Duck trilogy or the episodes that did it for Gizmo Duck. We'll definitely maybe dive into that.
Yeah.
I do also want to mention we're giving away a prize. We're going to give away a Marvel Legends prize related to the X-Men. Hint, hint,
Oh.
it might be a future show that we'll discuss. But to win it, you just got to show up.
And I can also win it because there's no thing saying that people who work for ANR can't win it, right?
No.
Right?
Sorry. No. This is incorrect. It is
Hey,
very incorrect.
I am coming over this weekend and we're hanging out.
And you're probably going to take it with you when you leave. Why is there a bulge in the back pocket? Never mind.
Yeah, let's not go there. Too many dirty jokes.
What we're going to give away, well, tune in. It's going to be a 3-pack probably of the latest X-Men, the Forge, Storm, and Jubilee 3-pack, Marvel Legends, or maybe the other 3-pack. But we're going to give one of those away next week. So, not next week, the next show, which is in 2 weeks from now. Sorry, 2 weeks from now, which is the date here. The date is
the 14th?
The 15th, April 15th.
Yes, that's it.
So we're going to give that away, and all you got to do is just show up, and we'll ask a question from the show that we're going to be talking about. And if you answer it first, you win. That's it.
Easy peasy.
Yeah. I mean, of course, you have to be a subscriber. Be a subscriber. And by the way, like the videos that we do, please. It's a great way to... Yeah, leave comments. Exactly. Yeah, no, leave comments. I want to... Yeah, like last week, I think somebody left a comment saying, hey, you said Holocaust. And I'm like, oops. I did not mean to do that.
And that's how our show got canceled.
Oh, stop it. But yeah, so next episode that we're going to do in 2 weeks from now, come join us. Today is April Fools, and we are no fools today. I think we did a good job on talking about introducing DuckTales back into the fold. And make no mistake about it, we will circle back on this, as we'll do with the other shows that we released. We're going to slowly start circling back to some of the shows that we released very soon and talk about a specific episode. If you guys have watched our shows and you want a specific episode to be talked about, let us know. We will go and do that. So a show from He-Man, a show from Transformers, Gem, DuckTales, whatever we've done in the past. Gummy Bears. Tell us a episode that you liked from one of those shows that we introduced, and we will go and talk about that very soon. We want to circle back into some of these shows. But there's so many shows to get into. It's going to be a while before we kind of have to circle back, but we will. We'll jump in here and then do a circle back. DuckTales for sure. I'm 100% circling back on this show and talking about a specific episode. So, is there anything else you want to add before we kind of say goodbye?
Woo!
Yeah, so join us in a couple weeks. Let your friends, family, brothers, sisters, aunt, uncles, grandma, everybody know, even your parole officer, let them know to tune in for a chance to win a prize next episode. And
I'm
we're
excited about next episode.
It's going to be awesome. It's going to be fun. Also, the fun doesn't stop here, folks. We're going to give away the Tim Burton Batman Batmobile from Todd McFarlane. The Batmobile. We're going to give that away on our Popcorn Chicken segment.
Now, keep in mind, it is not the very first Build-A-Figure from McFarlane. No. It's not the dinky car. It's actually the
This
big
is the
one.
1/12 scale actual Batmobile from the Tim Burton's Batman from the new Flash movie that they're doing. I've got a hold of it already, and I'm going to give that out to one lucky winner from our Popcorn Chicken segment. So all you got to do is go watch our... Am I late?
Okay.
Stop the show over.
Let's rewind.
Good morning, Cowabunga dude. All 22 inch. Oh, sorry. All 22 inches of his glorious plastic. Yes. The Batmobile will be given away on Popcorn Chicken segment. You got to show up there and you got to watch one of the shows. It is on Wednesday nights at 9:45 p.m. Pacific time. We might tinker with the time and bring it to 9:30. We're not sure yet. 50 minutes, I know it's not a big deal, but it is a big deal to all of us trying to get together because we all have our day jobs and everything, and then try to do a time where most people can come together. But it is going to be on that show. We're going to give that away. When is it going to be? I can't tell you that yet, but it'll be on a show. So if you're on the live and we ask a question, you get it right, we send a Bratmobile to your house. Not the driving one, just the 112 square one. But
yeah, make sure you're clear about that because, you know,
yeah.
you don't want them to get it and being like, I can't.
Well,
drive
you
this.
said they're going to send a Batmobile.
It's
Yes,
like
okay.
a Wish order. You get this and you get this from Wish.
The Wish.com Batmobile is coming.
Yeah.
It's just a black car painted.
With like fake bat wings.
It's like a
to
Toyota Prius painted black.
Oh my god.
Anyway, so yeah, lots of cool prizes coming. So we'll give more detail and reminders on our ANR Weekly, which is 8:30 p.m. Pacific time on Monday. We'll go back and talk about these two awesome prizes we're going to give away. So yeah, just tune into our show and answer a question and get a chance to win a prize. It's very easy and simple to do. So yeah, thank you everybody for joining us today. Chris, say
Thank
bye
you.
to everybody.
Bye everybody. Thank
right.
you for joining, and I cannot wait for next episode.
Oh yeah, next episode will be a banger for sure. Anyways, we will leave you off with this banger.
Are you playing it?
I don't even care if I get copyrighted.
How to find you.
Bye, people. See you later.